Well, joining us on the Coach's Corner is head women's basketball coach Jaclyn Dickens. Jaclyn, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I want to talk to you first and foremost about, first of all, I always try to be really open with the audience that's watching this. We're friends. We've been friends for many years, former River Cat for life. So, that's our softball team, by the way, for those that are only in the small group that knows. But,
Yeah.
I know your story pretty well. I just have always wanted to ask you, can you walk me through, you left coaching after Virginia Intermont closed and we're doing some other things. And then you came to Emory. Just talk about the emotions of it kind of coming together and then ultimately leading to the point where you are now, which is as the head women's basketball coach.
Yeah, when Virginia Intermont closed down, that was, a terrible experience. Just to lose coaching the players that I was coaching. Some of them, 6 of them were going to be seniors, and so that was a really tough experience, I feel like. And so, at that point, I wasn't sure, like, do I want to stay in college coaching? Do I want to go to a different level, maybe high school, maybe assistant at a higher level? Who knows? And so, just the whole process of looking for a job and trying to decide what was the best fit and where I wanted to be, was tough during that summer. And so nothing really worked out that felt like the right fit. So I went back to Oak Hill Academy, which is where I worked prior to Virginia Intermont, and didn't coach. They no longer have a girls basketball team. So just went back and was a dorm parent, which was my main job prior, and just spent time with the men's team or the boys team in their practices as much as I could, going to, on my days off, going to other teams' practices just to try to stay in it and not miss basketball as much as I was missing it. And then the opportunity, Ann called me to come be assistant at Emory, and it was a no-brainer. It was a quick decision. I didn't even know, how much it was going to be, if I could make it work. But I knew that was where I was supposed to be, and it all worked out in the end. I'm so thankful.
Of course, you're an alum of the program. So I want to ask Jaclyn Dickens, the coach, to describe Jaclyn Dickens, the player.
Shoot. I probably stress Coach Scruggs out, just because those players that have the ability, and I had the length, and I played a guard, but sometimes I played too cool, and that as a coach is the most frustrating thing. And yeah, if I could go back, and everybody says that if you could go back and do things differently, I definitely would. But hopefully I was a coachable player, and hopefully was a great teammate, and someone that people wanted on their team. So I hope for that. I can shoot it a little bit, and that's what I contributed.
I was going to say, I believe I've heard that you weren't afraid to take some shots.
No. When they were falling, it was great, but I'm sure when they were not falling, it was frustrating. So.
I've talked to a few coaches that are also alums. I'm wondering, it is different when you're an employee at a place that you went to school and means so much to you. How does, being an alum of the program, how does that impact you and the pressure maybe that you put on yourself as a coach?
I think it's a helpful pressure, because it reminds you are, competing, and you're doing your job for other people besides, even the players are playing for people other than themselves. So I think it's a helpful competitive pressure. I know what it feels like to have lost as a head coach. Had seasons of a losing season, and I know what it feels like to win. And just the feeling of winning is 100 times better than losing. So I don't ever want to go back to what it feels like to lose. And so I think it's a good reminder when you see alums and the fans and alums reaching out to you to support you. It's a good reminder that you're doing what you're doing for a reason.
I wanted to talk to you about the legacy of the program. And specifically, I want to start off with one of my favorite traditions. I love all the stuff that you guys do on the court. But I love, homecoming is a crazy time, but I love the gathering that you do with the women's team. I know that other coaches before you have done this, where we pass jersey downs and so forth. Why is it so important for your current team members to understand that legacy and see former players and meet former players?
I think something that we have that's really strong is our alumni base, obviously. But just like the time that you're here, um, the upperclassmen are so good to the underclassmen. I feel like they've been, good positive influences and taking them under their wings and loved them. And that's why we've had some good team chemistry. And so I think that just carries over and maybe feeds from that homecoming event. I don't know, but it is special just here. Alums come back and talk, and they get to hold their jersey again and pass it on to someone else, and so they just get to know the players, and the players get to know them, and see them in the stands later in games. So it's definitely a moving and touching event.
You have an interesting dynamic, especially this last year, where I don't know that many people in the country have this, where two legendary names involved with the program literally share the same office little block as you, with Coach Crutchfield and Coach Scruggs. What's that like to have those folks around you and so easily accessible?
It's great because they're so happy for you when you're doing well. They're proud of you. They're always stopping in, seeing if they can do anything to help out. They want to be involved and still not lose touch with the players. Coach Scruggs sends us with goodies to eat for every away game. Coach Crutchfield is still to stop by practice. So it means a lot to have them in there. Coach Scruggs was obviously my coach, and then I coached under Coach Crutchfield, and she gave me the job when she took the AD job. So I appreciate them so much, and definitely wouldn't be here without them.
Okay, so we have to talk about the team and the success that we've seen over the last few years. What would you attribute to really the resurrection that we've seen in the last few years and the great number of wins that we've been able to accomplish?
Number one, we've been able to bring in players that can help you win. Players
That seems important.
absolutely. That's the first and foremost thing. We've just been able to recruit kids that, that are good. And not only are they good, but they are team players, and they understand that one person doesn't win a ball game, and they are unselfish and play together. And they've had success prior to coming here, so that's kind of all they know, and that's all they accept as well. And so that's a big part, I think, in our recruiting as well, is we wanted to recruit winners, and people that we're unselfish and we're team players, and that's been a huge factor. They're also just amazing young ladies and amazing students, and that's so important with our team chemistry. And even as a coach, I can go to bed every night not stressing too much about what they're doing, how they're behaving, and anything like that.
One thing that the hurdle we haven't been able to get over is winning the conference championship. How much do you want to win the ODAC?
Shoot. Yeah, I think that's everybody's goal. And so it will just take, I don't know, that's definitely our goal. And it's still, we may have lost a lot, but we have a lot coming back, and it will continue to be our goal. Just the thought of cutting down the nets and hugging each other when it's over and knowing we finally did it. That's the feeling that I just keep thinking about when it happens.
Yeah, and you mentioned this just a second ago. I think that I always look at it, and as a huge women's basketball fan, I see at the end of the year and I look at who we're graduating, and I'm like, how are we going to rebuild from this? But somehow you always do. And it just seems like that next player up, and people just make that step. And I think we saw that last year. I mean, with Sydney and with Kara and with Peyton, that they all elevated their game in certain ways to really become the leaders you needed.
Yeah, definitely. And they had had 4 years of playing experience, so they weren't nervous and weren't ready. You know, they were ready to step up. They weren't like nervous or anything like that. So, but I think again we have some returning that now have a little bit of playing experience under their belt, and they'll do the same. So,
Do you ever look at that ODAC schedule? Like, whatever, sometimes I kind of look forward to see what our schedule is going to be in the next couple of weeks or so. That I'm like, it doesn't seem like there's easy games in the ODAC. Does it feel that way to you?
definitely not. You cannot take anybody in our conference for granted. Everybody, you know, is getting better every year. It's just, and that's the way you want it to be. But yeah, our ODAC is very strong.
So I've got to ask you about, for those that don't follow women's basketball on social media, you came up with one of my favorite kind of concepts this summer during the COVID situation, which is that you made a road trip to visit your team members. Just talk to me about why you wanted to do that and just that experience overall.
Well, I hate videos like this. I'm not a big fan, so I was really trying to avoid doing the Zoom meeting, which we finally had one last night to just end the year. Um, but we have on our team, everybody's so close by, and I felt like there was a way I could get there to everyone there and back in a day. And I was, you know, a couple of them were actually in town, so it wasn't as far. But you know, I just felt like I would rather do that than get on a video with them. And so it definitely was worth the drive, and yeah, getting to see them. I feel like I'm gonna have to do it again soon, but but it was good. Even last night with the Zoom meeting, it was good, but it's just not the same. I feel like just going by and, you know, getting to see some of them's parents and little sisters, or you know, somebody they're babysitting or something like that. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really common around the King Center. One of the things I love about having an office over here is just watching the players coming in and out. Your door seems to stay very busy, and you seem to be really engaged in your students' lives. I mean, could you imagine any other way of being a coach? Of just being.
No, first of all, I have candy on my desk, so that's a temptation for them to come in. But that's the way I want it for sure. I can't imagine being in a different, far that. Well, one, some of them have classes in there, so that helps. But just being far away to where they can't come by anytime. That's what I love, being in the King Center with the gym, and hopefully that they will continue to stop by. It changes, I think. Um, as I went from assistant to head, I was like, they're not coming in as much, and then it finally started. But yeah, I don't ever want that to stop. I want them to always feel like they can come in and hang out and talk to me.
I'm big on self-assessment, so I always like to ask coaches this question, which is, describe yourself as a coach. I mean, you're not a person that's going to be screaming and hollering. So kind of give me that self-assessment as Jaclyn Dickens, the coach.
Yeah, I'm probably too nice, but I feel like right now that works for the generation that's coming through. When I first started coaching, I can't tell you how many people told me I needed to yell more, I needed to get mad and all that stuff, and I was like, that's not me. It takes a lot for me to get mad, and I can, and I'm assertive and hold them accountable, but I feel like I can do it in a way that they appreciate and that they respond to. And they know, when it's fake and when it's not. So I don't want to ever be fake as a coach. So luckily, they have responded to me not having to yell in their face, or me not having to, um, get mad. So that's the key, is again recruiting players that can respond to that, and they know me. I tell them that prior to the recruiting, or them coming here. So right now it works. It may not have worked when 10 years ago, when I was coaching, but luckily it works right now, and I hope that it will continue to. They know I care about them, and that's part of the process, I think, to where they respond to that.
That's a pro tip for any of the college students that are watching this. I think just being authentic, that's always the best way to go, because it's, you not have to be on or off. You just always be yourself. And that's a pretty good way to go. And I know you can laugh at yourself too, Jack, because I believe I recall seeing a video going around where you were interacting in practice and playing some defense, and things did not go as well.
Yeah. Well, first of all, defense was never my strong suit anyway, so I don't know why I attempted to. But yeah, I think and that's why I enjoy coaching that group is because I can be myself and they can be themselves and I can talk to them like a normal person. I don't have to like stay on them about, little things. They hold themselves accountable, and that makes it easier. And so we are able to be ourselves and enjoy it. And I think you'll enjoy it more if that happens. So, yeah, I definitely fail. And it was, of course, recorded because we were recording practice that day. So,
If you can't laugh at yourself, I mean, what can you do? So,
absolutely. Because I have bloopers for them. And, if I'm going to do it to them, I might as well accept that I'm going to have to do it for myself.
well, Jack, I got one last question. We'll do a big season preview as we get closer to basketball season, but sort of give us the projection a little bit of what we're bringing back and what we're looking forward to when basketball tips back off this winter.
So we have 2 starters returning, and we have 10 total coming back. So that's exciting. I feel like all of them have the ability to step in and be effective and be helpful for the team's success next year. Right now, we have 5 new players coming in, and like I said, we've been able to recruit good players, and that's what we want to continue to do. And those that can help us get better. So I'm excited about the new ones coming in as well. I think a lot of them know the returners, so they already have that kind of team chemistry. We were supposed to have team camp this week, which would have been the first time we got to hang out together. So that kind of stinks, but the returners are doing a great job staying in touch with them, and I really think we're going to have something exciting again next year.
Well, Jack, I appreciate you spending a few moments with us. It's always good to talk to you.
I appreciate you having me, and I just want to take the opportunity to just challenge anybody that might be watching this video to just be part of the change to help end racism. I think that's a big topic today, and I wanted to support that. So.
Absolutely. I think sports is a great place to have some of these conversations. And I think that, we can be role models to a lot of folks. So I appreciate you mentioning that. So thanks for joining us on Coach's Corner, Jack.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.